At it again, and we got to talk about Kamala Harris and the recent town hall she did, as well as one of the last ones she did as well, because, you know, and I meant to drop this as a YouTube short, but of course I forgot. She did a YouTube, or not a YouTube, goodness gracious, I'm talking like Kamala and Joe Biden right now. She did a town hall earlier this week, and in the town hall, we found out that it was absolutely, positively scripted. And we found that out because an audience member asked, "Can I ask a question?" And this was the answer.
You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so.
I thought at town halls, just reg-deg folks get to ask questions to the candidates, and that's just how it goes. But no, you already have pre-screened questions? So Kamala has a pre-screened and canned answer? Screened by her party elites, right? To make sure it was a good answer? Okay. Well, she did another town hall on CNN, and this is how some of that went. Let's dive in.
When you talk about rich people paying their fair share, can you be more specific? Income taxes are already on a graduated scale, where the more you make, the higher percentage you pay in taxes. So the rich are paying a disproportionate amount in taxes as it is. Over 40% of Americans don't pay any income taxes. Also, the really high earners may move their money offshore if there are disincentives in the U.S. This could impact the economy. I would like to hear more nuts and bolts about your economic plans.
Sure. Thank you, Pam. So first of all, it is the case in the United States of America that billionaires on average pay less taxes as a percentage than teachers and firefighters and nurses.
Yeah. I'm talking about hard workers like pound the street.
Notice that she says less taxes as a percentage. See the little caveat that she puts in there? As a percentage. Yeah, of course, if you're, I don't know, Elon Musk. We'll use Elon Musk. Let's say Elon Musk made $10 billion last year. Do you think it's fair for him to pay $5 billion in taxes? Like, I personally think that's quite ridiculous, personally. But then also, it's just not smart. It's been proven that when you start trying to go after, the wealthy's money like that, right? They just move it somewhere else. They leave the country. Like, these are individuals who not only have the smarts, but the resources to do that. So, like, you're just not going to get it. And then also, it's not going to happen either. Trump called Hillary Clinton out in 2016 about this on the debate stage. When she was like, he doesn't pay his taxes. And he was like, yeah, I don't, because I'm smart. And I know you, and if you want me to pay my taxes, change the tax code, because I pay the same amount of taxes as your donors do. So I know you're not going to change the tax code. So this is just all fluff. This is just all talk, right? The same talking points that they were using in 2016. The same exact ones. Pay their fair share. Yeah, right. You're going to get someone who just made $10 billion to pay $5 billion in taxes. Good luck. That's just not realistic. And I believe it was Thomas Sowell who actually talked about this in a past video as well. It's been proven that when you bring taxes down, the wealthy just pay it, right? And then you end up with more tax revenue than you would have with a higher tax number, because then they're like, I'm not paying half my money in taxes, not to this government at least. Like, I'm going to move it somewhere else because I have the resources and the know-how to do it, and you're not going to get anything. Good luck, right? So yeah, that's all bogus. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because that was a little slick, as a percentage, it's a little slick move.
Street. Have some success.
Yes, no, I understand, but I want to just let's set the scene, right?
Yeah.
So when I say that
she's got to stick to the talking point, but let's set the scene.
The richest among us need to pay their fair share.
Okay.
I am referencing that, and I need to reference that because sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big corporations, which added trillions of dollars to our deficit. So that sadly needs to be said in a way that should be obvious to your point, but is not given what he did. Now, in terms of what we need to do to bring down taxes, I have pledged and have a plan for a middle-class tax cut that would affect 100 million Americans, including, for example, what we will do around small businesses in terms of tax deductions, in terms of what small businesses are now being mired in terms of a bureaucracy around they have to fill out and do their taxes in a way that actually holds them back. Part of my plan includes extending a middle-class tax cut that would include a $6,000 tax cut, essentially a child tax credit, for parents and young parents in particular, knowing that the vast majority of our parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. So this is going to include an extra amount of just money that people can use to pay for childcare, which is far too expensive for too many working families. And part of the issue here is this. We cannot, and I will not, raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. But we do need to take seriously the system that benefits the richest and does not help out working middle-class Americans. I come from the middle class, and I believe that the middle class needs tax breaks to be able to actually not just get by, but get ahead.
Oh, man, it sounded good, right? But we've heard that same speech before, didn't we? 2016. Ooh, we're going to make the rich pay their fair share. Yeah, okay. Joe Biden was saying some, similar things. Ooh, the adults are back in the room. Yeah, how well has that gone? And she talked about, not raising taxes on anybody making less than $400,000. Well, Kamala, one of the biggest taxes here in America is inflation. Little do you know, that is a tax in and of itself. So, as a matter of fact, you raise taxes on Americans, and you raise them significantly because our dollars don't go as far as they used to. As a matter of fact, I think I posed a question to you guys. Is there anything in this country at this point that you can buy with a single dollar bill? Is there anything? Is there? You used to be able to go to the candy store for $1 and get a little bag of candy. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Little dollar bag of candy? Yeah. Can you get anything for $1 these days? Even a pack of gum? Like, I'm laughing, but it's not really funny, but it is kind of funny because she's sitting here saying, well, I'm not going to raise taxes. Meanwhile, the inflation has gone through the roof, and their answer is, well, inflation is down. Yeah, the rate of inflation is down, but what about the gap where the prices rose? Like, yeah, they're rising a little bit slower now. That's the trick that they use. Yeah, inflation is down. The rate of inflation is down. It's not rising as fast as it was. It hasn't gone in the opposite direction. Prices haven't gone down at all. They just are rising a little bit slower. So I just hate that, man. Man. I also want to show you guys this part of the video where this alleged Republican, asked Kamala an interesting question. And I kind of feel like it was almost a setup question. It was almost I kind of felt like it was a question to get her to admit what she really plans to do. And you will hear it in the question.
Jackson. Thank you, Anderson.
Hey, Jackson.
Thank you for taking the time to be here, too, Vice President Harris.
Thank you.
Regarding the rapid increase in the migrant population, how will you ensure that every immigrant is integrated into American society safely? What benefits and subsidies will you provide them with? And how long will these benefits and subsidies last for an individual? Most importantly, will the American citizens' taxes pay for these benefits and subsidies? And if so, how much money will be allocated?
Well, thank you, Jackson. Let's start with this. America's immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed. And it's been broken for a long time. And part of what we need to do is always prioritize what we need to do to strengthen our border. I will tell you, I'm the only person in this race among the two choices that voters have. I've personally prosecuted transnational criminal organizations. in the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career making sure that our border is secure and that we do not allow criminals in, and we don't allow that kind of trafficking to happen and come into our country. And as my opponent has proven himself, he would prefer to run on the problem instead of fix the problem. You may know there were some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress working with others that came up with a border security bill that would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Those border agents are overwhelmed. They need the support. They need the backup. It would have allowed us to have more resources to stem the flow of fentanyl. I don't need to tell this state and people around the country what is happening in terms.
I gotta interrupt. So Byron Donalds actually posted something about why the border bill that she's speaking of would not pass, okay? And I want to show you guys this. So the border bill that Kamala wants, the bipartisan bill with some of the most conservative Republicans, it codified catch and release. It let in 1.8 million illegals. It funded sanctuary cities. It gave funds to non-government organizations that are moving illegals. It provided lawyers for illegals. It gave illegals work permits. It provided nothing to deport these individuals and no immediate funds for the wall to secure the border, weak asylum screening, and another $60 billion to Ukraine. That's what they aren't telling you. This bill is absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. But another thing that I want to point out, if we can scroll down here, H.R. 2. The border bill that actually passed the House and moved on to the Senate, it's been sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk for 532 days. Why hasn't Chuck Schumer taken it up for a vote? It's been there. 532 days. Let's read it a little bit. It would end catch and release by mandating the detention or removal or return of illegal aliens instead of releasing them into the country. It fully ends mass release of migrants while giving DHS additional authority to turn away migrants to maintain operational control. It mandated construction of the border wall. And obviously you guys can read on, but I'm not going to read all this. This is obviously, these are the two comparisons between the two bills, right? So yeah, that's what they aren't talking about. The border bill that they wanted wasn't actually a border bill. It just, and I said this before, the border bill just made what they're currently doing legal. That's all it was. That's all it was. Okay, we'll give some more funds to DHS to process the people faster. And we'll send some more judges so they can process these people into the country faster. Like, what? Nah. We got too many struggling folks in this country to just be allowing people. As a matter of fact, I'm of the mindset that once Trump gets in office, we completely close the border. Ain't nobody coming in. Nobody. I'm not saying that nobody eventually can't come in, but until we fix our own home, which is this country, we shouldn't be allowing anybody into it. That's just my mindset. We help Americans before we help everybody else. That's just my mindset. While we have Americans still struggling in this country, we shouldn't be helping anybody else. Maybe I'm a bad person for that. It is what it is. That's just how I feel. I care about my neighbors more than I care about some strangers.
Customer service for a local retailer. He serves as a local election official. He's a registered Republican who says he's undecided, doesn't agree with your stance on abortion, but he is concerned about what he calls Trump's demeanor and actions on January 6th. Joe?
Thank you, Madam Vice President, and thank you, Anderson. Madam Vice President, everybody as human beings, we're not perfect. We have our flaws. We make mistakes. We have our weaknesses. And the office of the presidency can sometimes bring those weaknesses out in ways that the incumbent may not expect. What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives. My team will tell you, I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it. Because, listen, as I mentioned earlier, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a courtroom prosecutor. I've tried everything from low-level offenses to homicides. And I learned at a very early stage of my career and adult life that my actions have a direct impact on real people in a very fundamental way.
Let's go to another piece of this interview where Anderson asked her a question about the border wall. Check it out.
Approach to this aside, we know what can work.
Well, let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has.
Notice that she didn't answer the wall portion because, as I showed you guys earlier, that bill that she wants to pass provides zero funding to build a wall. Zero. That's why she answered the question the way that she did. And she does that throughout this entire town hall, but I'm not going to subject you guys to any more of these nails on the chalkboard, all right? But one thing that I do want to also point out is that town hall was so bad. It was so bad that Kamala got roasted by CNN. Yeah, no joke. No joke. I'm going to play a couple of these clips and let you guys see this for yourselves. But when you're that bad that CNN actually comes out against you, you know you are absolutely terrible. Check it out.
The things that would concern me is when she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city. And she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking. And so, you know, on certain questions like that, on immigration, I thought she missed an opportunity because she would acknowledge no concerns about any of the administration's policies. And that's a mistake. Sometimes you have to concede things, and she didn't concede much. But I'll tell you something. John King mentioned Bill Clinton. No one's going to be Bill Clinton, but you do want to relate to the people in front of you. She didn't do a lot of that. She didn't ask them questions. She didn't address them particularly. So she was giving set pieces too much. The things.
She resorted to the word salad and she was giving too many set pieces, basically, AKA canned answers. Also, check out this clip from, I believe his name's Scott Jennings. Check it out.
Do you see something in that?
I mean, is that profound because it rhymes? I mean, look, she doesn't have to be...
I do think it was very well said.
She doesn't have to be flawless, but she has to give you something. I mean, she's like a true double threat. You know, she's terrible on her feet when she gets unexpected questions, and simultaneously, she can't even answer the expected questions. It's nothing, nothing, nothing. You'd think she'd be prepared to do this by now. You know, what's a mistake you've made? Nothing. What's a weakness you have? Nothing. What's the first law you want to pass? Nothing. What's a policy difference between you and Joe Biden? Nothing. Over and over and over. Empty, empty, empty. If she were an animal, she'd be a duck-billed platitude.
But look,
it's a total word salad.
If she were an animal, she'd be a duck-billed platitude. Man, all right, shout out to Scott Jennings, man. He's doing some fantastic work over there on CNN. Goodness gracious. My goodness. But it continues to get worse. Check it out.
Well, I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that. And, you know, some people have asked, is she being held to a different standard? Maybe, but that's maybe the world that she's living in. And on the question of who she is, people are understanding that a little bit more, but what she will do, the question about her legislative priorities, name one, there wasn't one. You know, some more of her personality and her sort of character questions about your weaknesses or what mistakes did you make? Not necessarily the answers there.
When you've got Dana Bash up there admitting that, you know it's bad. And I know Dana Bash did not want to admit it. You could see it on her face. Dana Bash did not want to admit it. But I think Dana Bash and a lot of these anchors are in the position that they feel like they got to start being more honest, because it is absolutely destroying their party and may cause them to lose. And I've always said that as well. Like, I was like, hey, like me, love me, or hate me. But when it comes to Donald Trump, like, I'm going to tell you the truth. If he's doing bad, if he's down, if he's behind, if he's about to lose, I'm going to tell you, because it doesn't do us any benefit to lie to each other about it. Let's be honest about it, and then let's address it and try to fix it. Pretending like a problem doesn't exist doesn't mean that it disappears. You just choose to ignore it. That problem is still going to be there. If Donald Trump was behind and I just chose to just completely ignore it, right, and just talk about some other things, some more fluff pieces, it doesn't change the fact that he's still behind. Like, it wouldn't change that, right? And I've always said that from the beginning. It's like me, love me, or hate me, but I'm going to tell it to you like it is. It just is what it is. And I think that is where, folks like Dana Bash are. Like, they feel like we've got to come out, and we may not blatantly say, hey, she's losing, but we're going to basically tell you that without actually saying it. We're going to beat around the bush with it and hope you get the message. But yeah, check out what Van Jones had to say.
I think that the word salad stuff gets on my nerves. I think that some of the evasions are not necessary. But when she's talking about trying to get you a house, I believe her.
Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris participated in a one-person debate last night, and she lost. Okay, she was asked direct questions, and she provided very circular answers. My colleagues Van Jones and David Axelrod and others noted that she provided word salad answers. And Anderson would ask her specifically direct questions, and she didn't provide an answer to them. When asked, Anderson asked the best question all night: why didn't you do this 4 years ago? Why haven't you been doing this? 10-minute answer, didn't answer the question. So what she did last night, I don't think helped her cause at all. I think people were looking for, how are you going to, you heard the one woman, how are you going to make my life better? That wasn't provided. Donald Trump bad is not going to get you to the White House. I hate to break it to her.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work either. And they have no one to blame but themselves, because that's the narrative that they've been pushing, and it's just played out, right? And then you have people like me who call out the fact that Trump was already in office. He was there once before. And I think Trump said the other day, I saw a clip where either he started something or ended off. I think he started it with the great question: are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And the answer to that question is no. We are not better off today. We were much better off when Trump was in office. Say what you want about Trump, blah, 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 blah. I'll take some mean tweets with some cheap gas prices and groceries that I can actually afford. Like, in second, like when did we all become so soft? Like, whatever happened to the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? Whatever happened to that phrase? Like, everybody's so concerned about words these days. Whatever happened to that? Like, where did our toughness go? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Like, it's like that phrase was never even a thing before. Like, oh my goodness, the mean things he says. So what? You could afford your gas. You weren't making major decisions while you were walking through the grocery aisle. You weren't checking your bank account as you were pulling up to the checkout lane. Who cares about some mean tweets? Who cares about what he says? You could afford to live. What does it matter? Like, I'm just baffled. I really am. It makes zero sense to me. Zero. You could afford your rent. Your mortgage wasn't this high, right? Home prices weren't through the roof. The border wasn't wide open. Crime wasn't this bad. Like, and the list goes on. We weren't on the brink of World War III. Like, but you're concerned about what he says? Okay, be concerned about what he says and watch yourself not be able to afford any groceries. Yeah, I don't like what he says, but I can't eat today because I can't afford it because grocery prices are too high. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And also, this is one of the things when you know, a couple of you have said, Rich, maybe you should run for office. No, I can't. I can't. If you think Donald Trump is bad, I'm probably worse. Just being honest, right? Because I'm going to tell it to you like it is. And, hey, however that comes out is how it comes out. But I'm going to give it to you straight, no chaser, okay? Like it, love it, or hate it, you're going to get the raw truth. Just is what it is. It may come out bad, but it's going to be the truth. You can't say I'm lying, right? I'm not a politician. And maybe that's why Donald Trump talks that way. He's not a politician. Honestly, I don't believe we should have career politicians, but that's just my humble opinion, and we'll save that topic for another day, all right? But yeah, you absolutely did terrible when CNN, right, is bashing you, talking about your word salad. When you have folks like Dana Bash, basically saying, no, she did not close the deal on this. This was absolutely terrible. When you got crying Van Jones, who cried when Donald Trump, or when Joe Biden and Kamala won because Donald Trump wasn't in office anymore. When you have folks like him saying, yeah, the word salad is terrible and it annoys me, you did absolutely garbage. But this is Kamala. This is Kamala, right? I don't care how you spin it. This is her. This is what you're going to get. But hey, as I always say, man, thanks for tuning in. Y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this in the comment section below. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.